faces turn around to greet ya. Man, I'm not sure if I'm glad to meet ya. Works hard.
Well, I'm J.Edmond, just recently came out with Searchlights here. I used to be called Jeb, under 60 releases. The last release for Jeb will be out on the 28th of this month, but Jeb is over, and J.Edmond now takes over. Worked with a few famous people, including Pete Donnelly of the Figs, a couple members of the Posies, and a few other things, and a couple members of the Meat Puppets too. And just excited to be doing music, and I'm a singer-songwriter foremost, and everything else kind of comes to me from there, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know what actually inspired you to start making music?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of friends, so I kind of like music. Kind of was the friend, you know, was the feeling that you get when you're supposed to get from friends to fill that void. I got from music, and music to me is something important. And of course, I've been listening to music since my dad showed me the Beatles when I was very young. And,
oh yes, classic.
So, yeah, way back. And then I just kind of grew on my own, big into power pop now, and kind of my own thing. And then also my dad loves all the 90s stuff too, but I made friends with a lot of the 90s artists that I look up to and became a radio host because of it. So music's always been in my life, and then I was like, I want to do more back to the songwriting. I want to get back to basics, back to what I know is important, because I do writing is my.
And then would you say that the Beatles are like one of your biggest inspirations?
Oh, big time. Yeah, big time.
You have any other?
The Beatles, Velvet Crush, Matthew Sweet, the Posies. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. Recently been enjoying a lot of Hot Mulligan, and I enjoy some of the local scene guys like Scooped Up. They're on my guitar case.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've been looking at your guitar case stickers. I can see a bunch of bands on there.
These are like mostly all my influences on here.
The Police.
The Police, yeah, I like the Police. Zappa, but never could play like him. But I always, I liked his weirdness and his own creativity.
And then, speaking of weirdness and creativity, do you have a process that you go through making music? Like, what's your creative process?
So, actually, kind of funny, this morning we were meeting up and everything and talking. I had to, like, actually call you and, like, say, gotta wait a second. Songs come to me, but they'll come at the worst times. They'll come while I'm driving where I can't move over, or they'll come in the middle of the highway traffic, 2 trucks on the side of me, and I'm just like, I can't go anywhere, but I gotta write a song, so never pull over. I'm like, you don't write. Neil Young got lucky. He always says I had to pull over when the divine intervention came in. Well, yeah, you live on a farm, and you have a lot of room to pull over. In Connecticut, we don't have that much pleasure to do that. It comes to me, but my process is mostly I sit down, I have a studio at home, I record, then I usually check in with whoever the producer is for the current project, and check in with them, send them the files, then I have a team that I dedicate all the extra work to that I don't have to worry about. But the process for writing is simple as just pen and paper or on my phone.
Yeah, and then is there any like memorable moments that you have in your career at all? Like,
oh, there's many. I got to, when I was very young, I got to open for one of the Posies members starting out. Did a Big Star cover. It was kind of fun. And then I just remember just really enjoying the ride. I enjoy everything that's going on. This recent song, Searchlights, has been a lot of fun. I think the most fun is just doing the video recordings. And
that was fun.
Kind of back to the basics, you know, and back to like the simple stuff. I think the ugly parts are always the management side and the thing, but I do love my team and I love what we're doing, but I mostly like being out, and I love playing live. I think there's a lot of exciting moments, and as a promoter for local band scene too, it's a lot of fun to get these bands together and feel like you're in charge of working with these people. So it emulates in the music that I do too, that I always like to kind of have people guest. I'm trying to think of anything else major fun. I mean, I've had so much fun just going to shows. I mean, meeting people through the music thing and then doing things separately. Like I went to Broadway with a friend and I got to see that because I met them through my own stuff. But there's been a lot of dark too. I mean, there's a lot of dark. The record label I ran was a lot of money owed and a lot of things like just scary stuff. That's like, and all you're trying to do is get some bands out there. That's all you're trying to do.
And has that at all influenced the way your music has evolved from that first time you opened with the Posies to where you are now?
Life hits, and the songs I was writing when I was younger was like kind of like the Beatles with Love Me Do and like love this and love, and it was all like I like that girl, so I'm gonna write about it. And then it turned into emo music where it was like I'm depressed and angry, but I want love, like everybody else. And now it's kind of like a mix of the power pop. Like I'm almost like I've come to accept things as they are because you can't control what's not inside here.
Correct, right.
But I still get angry. I still have emotions. I'm still human. And so I always kind of tend to myself to be that. But definitely my mental illness kind of runs with bipolar. It runs on a lot of the stuff that I do because I'm me, and that's where I write from. I can only write from this vessel,
Right, exactly.
But
And
it definitely has evolved from when I started, for sure.
yeah, and then what would you say that like that's kind of the emotion you want to convey with some of your music?
I do.
Is like how
The
you
current
feel?
album I'm working on now is like some of the songs are very positive. So it's kind of like I liked what Sum 41 did, where like half the songs were like more a little lighter, and then the new album, then they were really heavy on the second side, showing the two sides of them. Well, I like to do that with my music, where like half the album is like these pop songs that are really upbeat and happy, and then the other half is like, this is what I'm actually feeling half the time. Like I'm depressed too.
Right,
like,
right.
I'm angry that certain things aren't going as fast as I want them. They are happening.
Right.
Just slower than I expect.
So the album's gonna like be like a roller coaster.
Exactly.
So you start with a really
City
big
Walk
high,
has
and then you kind of fall down a little
It's
bit.
kind of like City Walk with the life is like a roller coaster, clink clink of the chains and all that and stuff like that. And I'm very inspired by Not a Surf. That's another one that I'm inspired by.
Oh, cool. And then speaking of City Walk and new stuff, do you have anything coming out soon? Any projects, performances?
We got Searchlights coming, then August 15th, we are going to be at the Cellar on Treadwell in 2024, doing Cellar Dwellin' 24, the first Cellar Dwellin' Fest. I used to do a lot of stuff at the Cellar with the Robo Jack stuff, but now we're doing Cellar Dwellin', and we're going to try to keep it as a series. It's got Chaser 8 on the bill, which I'm very excited for. They're a pretty big local band here in the rock scene, and very excited for that, and we're looking for more bands, of course, and we book about 5 bands for the show, so we're always looking to rotate and stuff, so if you're an artist, reach out.
And then, out of all the things that come with performing live, aside from the stressors, getting ready for the show, making sure you've got all your equipment, what's the best thing you enjoy about performing live?
Being on stage.
Yeah.
And everybody says it's a hassle before I get to that stage. It is like an addiction that you're going to get your fix. You're going to get your fix when you get on that stage and you're in the lights. But everything before that day could just be like the worst day of your life. I've had situations where it's like, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the show because it's just like, this is dredging. I get so like, not anxiety, it's excitement. I get those two confused a lot. Excitement can mimic anxiety very closely. Excitement is like you're excited for something, you want to go, so you're going to feel the same thing that anxiety does. Your body's going to feel slow. Everything's time is not going to pass. And then we get to the show, and it's all for like, 30 minutes, a half an hour, to
Right.
an hour to 2 hours, But every show is always great. The people show up. I mean, I haven't had a lot of big crowds yet. We're getting there. But even the small crowds, the 10 people that show up every time, you guys rock. Because you guys are the ones that keep us doing this, But we hopefully get more people. We want, we want to fill those rooms and sell out.
And then speaking of new people, say we have a new artist coming to hop on with the Treadwell with you. Do you have any advice for these new artists that might be up and coming?
So, always be open to ideas that sometimes sound a little strange. Like I've learned that in the long run. If you want to be in the business, you have to be open to everything and anything, including contracts that could be above what you're expecting. You have to be open to do anything. I'm still not there yet. I have been scared and ran away a couple times, including recently. So it's tough, but just try to be focused on the goal, and people will distract you. It is just part of life. The distraction is fuel for the fire to keep going, because I've noticed that I've had distractions, right? When it's like writers talk about it. I know Stephen King's had distractions trying to finish a book, and he just can't get that last chapter done because everybody's bothering you. It's the universe saying, do you really want it? Do you really want it? Then if you want it and you say yes now, keep that fire burning for as long as you can, because, I saw a thing the other day. We don't know when it's the good old days while we're living through them. It's the good old days when you start and just pick up a guitar, pick up a vocal, and start writing. And that's the good old days. Nobody's bothering you. Nobody knows you're even doing it. That's the good old days. When you start putting this pressure on yourself, it's very hard. But it gets easier. It does get easier.
Well, thank you. That was fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm sure we'll see much more of you in the future, especially with Searchlights coming out, City Walk in the near future. And any new albums or anything you'd like to?
Yeah, so City Walk's out, now, but the video we're going to be doing. Zach and I,
the video.
We're going to actually get a video done, which is exciting. Searchlight's video is coming, and the song, of course. There's a full album. There's an album called Starlight's coming, and I'm also writing a book to document everything that's happening between the start of Starlight's to Starlight's is fully done. So it's going to be interesting. I write like a fantasy book writer, so it's going to be kind of intriguing to see how the writing kind of adds up to what's actually happening. But it's going to be a fun one. But yeah, the looking for Starlights is the name of it, and then I'm hoping High Tension Records has a hand on all this, but we're waiting on them, and it's a lot of fun,
And then for anyone that's anticipating the release of Starlights, what would be, if you don't have to, be like a good kind of example of what that's going to sound like? Is there any evolution from where we are now with Searchlights to Starlights? What's that change feel like?
There's a little bit of Jeb kind of added back in, which I didn't expect to do. I started demoing out the songs and realized, Jeb was me for a while, and I thought I could walk away and be this polished J.Edmond thing, but it's still a part of me. So you can expect some rawness, you can expect some good stuff. John Richardson has hopped onto the project. He was the drummer for the Jim Blossoms and many more, Eddie Money, Soul Asylum, all this cool stuff. So you can expect some really cool things to come. Just stay tuned on our social media, the period symbol, so j.edmond.56, not DOT. I've had people write .com and put DOT. It's dot like .com. But j.edmond.56, and it's EDMOND. Keep up on all that stuff. And, I don't know, I can't guarantee anything from this moment because we're currently still working on it. So it's going to be exciting.
Awesome. Fantastic. Glad to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll catch back up in the meantime.